The scorching peaks were not kind to weakness. In the dragon clans, strength determined survival, and the runt of any clutch faced a cruel fate. When the smallest egg finally cracked open 3 days after her siblings, the elders had already made their judgment. The hatchling emerged with scales too pale, wings too thin, and a cry too soft. Where her brothers and sisters roared with fire, she could barely produce smoke. Defective, Elder Krasnith declared, his obsidian scales gleaming in the volcanic light. She will never fly, never hunt, never bring honor to the clan. Sophia, the hatchling's mother, lowered her massive head in shame. By dragon law, she could not protest. The weak were cast out. It had always been so. Benjamin watched from the human settlement below as the tiny silver form tumbled down the mountainside. He was collecting herbs when he heard his grandmother's sharp whistle. Benjamin. Quickly, he found Grandma Iris cradling something that looked like a broken bird. The hatchling was no larger than a cat, whimpering softly as blood seeped from a gash on her wing. Dragons threw her away, Grandma Iris said, her weathered face set with determination. Said she's too weak to live. Grandmother, the dragon clans will be furious if, let them be furious. Her eyes, still sharp at 73, met his. I've raised chickens, goats, 3 children, and 2 stubborn grandsons. I think I can handle 1 baby dragon. Benjamin knew that tone. There was no arguing with Grandma Iris when she'd made up her mind. They named her Ember, though she could barely produce a spark. The dragon clans watched from above with disdain as the old human woman bottle-fed the hatchling, stitched her torn wing, and built her a nest of quilts in the cottage. The human mocks us, Krasnith snarled to the council, keeping our failure as a pet. Let her keep the broken thing, Sophia whispered, though her heart ached. At least it will live. Weeks passed. While other hatchlings learned to hunt, Ember learned to sit on command. While they practiced aerial combat, she played fetch with Benjamin. The dragons sneered. The humans in the settlement whispered, but Grandma Iris was patient. She fed Ember fish oil for her scales and sang her old lullabies when nightmares came. She didn't force her to fly, but took her on walks, letting her wings strengthen naturally. She praised every tiny flame, every small achievement. You're perfect exactly as you are, she would say, scratching behind Ember's horns. Benjamin watched his grandmother work her quiet magic. They say she'll never be a real dragon. Real dragon? Grandma Iris snorted. Who decides what's real? Those pompous lizards up there? Ember's got something they don't. What's that? Someone who loves her. 6 months later, the scorching peaks faced their gravest threat. The void swarm descended, extra-dimensional parasites that devoured magic and flesh alike. The dragon clans launched their fiercest warriors, but the swarm's numbers were overwhelming. One by one, dragons fell from the sky. The swarm swept toward the human settlement. Evacuation was impossible. Benjamin stood with the town guard, knowing their spears were useless. Grandma Iris refused to flee, holding Ember close as the black clouds approached. It's all right, sweetheart, she murmured to the trembling dragon. You don't have to be brave. But Ember was shaking not with fear, with rage. These monsters threatened her grandmother, her Benjamin, her home. Something ancient stirred in her blood, something the dragon elders had never recognized because they'd never bothered to look. Ember wasn't weak, she was different. Her scales weren't pale, they were prismatic. Her fire wasn't absent, it was waiting. She launched herself skyward with a roar that shattered windows. The void swarm paused, perhaps sensing the unusual energy signature. Ember didn't breathe ordinary dragon fire. From her throat came something the dragons had never seen. Starfire, silver, and burning with the heat of collapsing suns. It was the rarest flame, thought extinct for a millennium. The void swarm screamed as her fire consumed them. Not just burned, unmade them. Each sweep of her breath erased them from existence. The dragon clan stared in disbelief as the tiny runt they'd discarded tore through the swarm like a cosmic blade. Her pale scales blazed with internal light, her thin wings carved through dimensions. Her soft voice had become a battle cry that made mountains tremble. In 20 minutes, the threat that had decimated their warriors was ash. Ember landed before Grandma Iris, still glowing with residual power, and gently nuzzled her face. Good girl, Grandma Iris said, as casually as if Ember had retrieved a ball. I'm very proud of you. Elder Krasnith descended, his voice carefully neutral. The hatchling, Ember, has proven herself a true dragon. The clan would be honored to know. Everyone turned to Grandma Iris. She's not rejoining your clan. You threw her away. You mocked her. You decided she wasn't worthy. The old woman's voice was steel. She's my granddaughter now. She stays with us. But the laws, your laws nearly killed the most powerful dragon in 1,000 years. Grandma Iris crossed her arms. Maybe it's time you reconsidered them. Sophia landed beside the elder, tears streaming down her scaled face. Thank you, she whispered to the human. Thank you for seeing what I could not. I saw a baby who needed love, Grandma Iris replied. That's all any mother needs to see. The dragon clans departed, chastened. New laws were written that day. Not all strength roars, not all power blazes bright from birth. Ember chose to stay in the human settlement, though she visited her birth mother regularly. She became the guardian of both species, the bridge between worlds. But every evening, she returned to the cottage where an old human woman waited with dinner and a scratching behind the horns, because Grandma Iris had taught her the greatest truth. Real strength isn't what you're born with, that it's what you become when someone believes in you.